Even if you just wanted to take some time off and it's within your means to do that, just having that break to think and that introspection and not just the constant go, go, go hustle. I have this whole like 10 years planned for me already, because things don't go to plan. We're constantly changing every day, every month, every year. You can't kind of have this set thing and think it's always going to work out that way. Like your interests and hobbies always change over time too. Who's to say you won't be doing something completely different next year, right? In terms of career or whatever else it is.
We've got blogger, influencer, author, YouTuber Cherie Tu here with us today. Cherie, also known as the huge community of Thrivingonplants across social media, boasts over 379,000 followers on Instagram and 123,000 subscribers on YouTube. Cherie is a 2-time published author, with her cookbooks found across Amazon, Dimmicks, and other independent bookstores. Cherie has also worked with big names such as Dyson, LG, Panasonic, Source Bulk Foods, Topeka, So Good, Kikkoman, and many, many more. She's created a huge platform for the vegan and non-vegan community, showcasing incredible recipes and lifestyle content. Welcome to the podcast, Cherie.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
And for the record, you are a YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I haven't been back in a really long time, so I don't even consider myself a YouTuber. But
Still counts.
I'm flattered. Thank
Like
you.
I said, I have 88 and I am a YouTuber. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's get into it. So tell us about your upbringing. Like, where did you grow up? What was your education? Parents like? That kind of thing?
So I was born here in Sydney, specifically Sydney Southwest, where I've always been based, contrary to what everyone believes. For some reason, I think people have kind of put me in this bracket of I definitely live in like Newtown or Bondi or something.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sydney Southwest, my upbringing, I feel like I don't have the typical Asian story as most people would say, because I've had a very chill childhood all throughout my teen years as well. Like I didn't have strict Asian parents growing up, so I think I had a lot of freedom with my decisions and choices. But what's interesting about that is despite having that freedom, it's not like I went out and did much anyway. But I think what's interesting is I knew a lot of people from high school who had strict parents, but as a result, you know, rebelled and did a lot of stuff.
Off the rails kind of thing.
That was kind of, I'd say as a whole, my upbringing was just very chill, could do whatever I want, but didn't really do didn't do any of that stuff.
Did you want to though?
Not really.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I didn't have a desire to do much.
Are you an only child or do you have siblings?
I have an older brother, but we're pretty close in age. He's only 1.5 years older than me. I would say we had our period of really bickering and fighting throughout school. And then now that we've both matured, we literally never have an argument, but we're not close to the point where we actually share personal things together. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's because he's a guy and I'm a girl, and like, you know, if he was my sister, perhaps we would be talking about a lot more. But no, we have a really good relationship.
Is he like an introverted type? Or?
Yes, he is definitely more so on the introverted side of things. And I actually used to be very, very extroverted, very outgoing. If anything, probably loved being the center of attention. But as I became older, I basically went the opposite end, and I'm not too sure why. But yeah, like
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. I preferred being a bit more low key and not the center of attention.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it was an interesting kind of transition. I think that started from like maybe year 10 onwards and till now. So yeah.
Nice.
And what did, you went through high school. Did you know what you wanted to do sort of going through that process?
Yeah. So initially the first job I ever kind of looked at and thought, oh my God, I want to do that, is I wanted to be a primary school teacher, because I had always been really good with kids. I loved leadership roles and teaching others and just being a role model in general. But then I think once I started to become interested in health and fitness, and my passions and my goals changed slightly, I would say. So I wanted to be potentially like a dietitian or something along the lines of that. And so I delved more into that and dropped the primary school teacher idea.
Right.
Was that during high school?
Well, I was going to say, was it during high school?
Yeah, so I think in primary school, I wanted to be a primary school teacher. In early high school, I think that still stuck with me. But then it maybe in, I don't know, year 9 or something, I thought, I've got some new interests here. So I think I might actually look into some other career paths. Yeah.
So how did you go from, I guess, high school did you go to uni?
I went for a little under 1 semester, so it was extremely brief.
Yeah.
It was a Bachelor of Science, Master of Nutrition and Dietetics, because at the time I thought I wanted to be a dietitian. So I got into uni. I was really excited about it. And I don't know if this sounds stupid, but I think my expectations of what uni would be like were very different to what it really was like. I thought it would be such a nice social thing. I'd make a lot of friends and just enjoy the uni life. But I was constantly stressed. So I was doing 5 days with like 8 a.m. math lectures every day. And the maths wasn't even relevant to anything nutrition related, which was like, oh, why am I even here doing this? But it was mandatory. So yeah. And, couldn't keep up with a lot of the content. Just thought to myself, I wasn't enjoying this. And plus it was very hard because my online platforms were kind of growing at the time too. So having to deal with that and then do all the uni work, it just wasn't working for me. So
I was going to say, like, were you doing something else? But you answered like you were doing the blogging and everything, right?
Like even though I wasn't doing that as seriously or as a full-time job yet, it was still kind of growing then. Like I remember in year 12, I was still posting up things out of enjoyment, obviously, as a hobby throughout HSC. Like every morning I'd wake up at 7 o'clock and be like, okay, I'm going to make my breakfast, snap a photo of outside, then go through my notes before I walk in and do my exams. So I kept posting all throughout high school and till now,
And it was for fun during high school.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's not for fun now, but what I mean is when I started, it was just completely a hobby, a little passion. Like if anything, a nice diary and journal for me to kind of pop all my recipes onto. And I loved the online community as well. So that really inspired me to constantly upload content. Yeah.
How did you get into the social media side of things?
I would say it is largely linked to me going vegan. So I went vegan when I was, I think 15. It's been some time now, 14, 15. Yeah. And as you can imagine, I didn't know anyone who was vegan around me. I had no idea who to talk to. And so, it started off a bit like a food diary for me. I was uploading even just like the most random fruit platters online and connecting with a lot of people from all across the world. So I kept that up, and my meals and my food kind of changed over time too. So it was interesting to see that. And I just continued to love posting there because of the community.
I remember when like the vegan space happened across Instagram, it was all smoothie bowls. It was all like decorated. Yeah.
Yes. I always say my OG followers will know I was all big on the nice creams, the banana oat pancakes.
What's nice creams?
Really?
Never had nice cream?
No, I'm not vegan.
No, but even nice cream just in general.
Yeah, so it's not exclusively a vegan thing, but I would say it has been big in the community. So basically super ripe bananas, peel them, freeze them, and literally blitz them up. And it becomes like, I'm not going to be here saying that it tastes like ice cream. It doesn't. It tastes good on its own as its own thing. So you can add, I don't know, cocoa powder to it if you want a bit of a chocolate flavor. You can add other berries to it if you want like a berry flavor. But the texture is like this really thick, nice,
creamy
consistency. Yeah.
I think it's because the bananas oxidize or something when you blend it. You just have to keep going. It goes chunky and then it's smooth and then it just suddenly, it's like whipped cream. It suddenly just turns.
Like it hits a certain threshold and then, okay. All right. Interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Not at all. Everyone was big on that back in the days. I will say that I used to be big on both nice creams and smoothies, but I don't tend to do it as much nowadays. And especially with the cold weather, the last thing I want is an icy cold smoothie.
Sits in your stomach and makes you cold throughout your body. Yeah,
exactly. So my food preferences obviously change throughout the year because of the seasons too. Yeah.
Of course.
I'm super curious about timelines here, right? So can you just walk me through on when did you sort of start doing a lot of this content?
Yeah.
And then can you sort of, I know this is sort of doing it in parallel, but you said you were doing this whilst at school and uni. So around what year was this and how was it all playing out?
So I started the page, let's say in 2014 maybe even, and I was just posting, like I said, very random meals and recipes and just maybe a few other lifestyle content related things. And then as the years went by, got into uni. So I graduated in 2015, went to uni very briefly for less than one semester. And then once I stopped that, that's when I started taking the whole business work side a bit more seriously. So I was working on my first ebook, had no idea what I was doing. I think I made it on Pages. Is it Pages? Yeah, extremely dodgy. But I had the recipes I wanted to share with people. So I popped that into a PDF, launched that, and it went really well. And I think especially since that point, it's not like it was a huge turning point for me, but I think at the time I realized, I can actually make something out of this and turn my hobby and passion into, a business and mesh them together. And as time went by, I had a lot more opportunities arise from brands about collaborations and things like that. So yeah, I started to realize this could be a full-time thing. And pretty much ever since then, I've been working from home and doing it full-time. So
really?
I know I've skipped like so many years in between, but that's pretty much how it's been going. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you were thinking, or at least, in that first semester trying to drop out, because I'm sort of curious, because I imagine people listening to this are maybe thinking about something similar. They could have something going on. They're like, this is getting some traction, but it's not like a full-time thing yet. And at the same time, they're like, I've got these expectations, like I know you came from a very like liberal family upbringing as well, but I think like you mentioned, a lot of people probably don't.
Yeah.
Was it a difficult decision to drop out of uni, and what helped you make that decision?
I don't think it was a difficult decision, but even though I said my parents have always been chill and stuff, like my mom still kind of had the mindset that you had to go to uni to, I don't know, get a job later on.
Yep.
So even though she has always been chill about it, she was like, I'd still prefer if you, went back to uni eventually. Like, I don't mind if you take a break for the time being. But, I still think it's the proper or right thing to do. But as time passed by, she was like, yeah, never mind. Don't worry about uni.
Is that because she was seeing what traction you were getting with the
I'd
whole
say so, yeah. So from the get-go, my mum followed all of my pages. Like yeah, seriously. There were some times where she'd be like, hey, Cherie, someone asked you a question about the recipe.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
And you didn't even reply to them. And I was like, what? Where was
She's your manager.
It's so cute. Yeah, because she doesn't use social media and post on social media, but she told me to make accounts for her so that she could follow me specifically, which is really, really wholesome. So she's kind of kept up with the progression as the years have gone by.
Right. So she was seeing you grow.
Yeah.
But then a lot of parents, they go, right, there's the social media thing, which is like, I don't know if parents actually can connect between say you having a big following to like it being an actual like sustainable job. So how did your mum connect that, or did you have to explain that to her?
Initially, I was receiving a lot of packages and she was like, why do you have deliveries every day? And I was like explaining to her, I've started to work with a couple of brands on my page, so that's why they're sending me products. And as time went by, I think I just explained to her like, look, this is how it works, and the brand sends this, and then we work on a recipe and we agree on like X amount of money, and I think this could be a thing. Like I think I'm actually sustaining myself quite well from this. And also delving back to the question that that you had asked before, all I can say to people at the moment is, if you don't know what you're doing, that's fine. That's honestly fine. I think it's just bizarre that we're expected to graduate from high school at say 18 years old 100%. And know exactly what we want to do. And I think I've heard from a lot of people, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing at uni and I want to drop out, but I'm scared. And it's fine to take a break. I think you need to make that decision for yourself. Obviously easier said than done, especially if you've got expectations from parents or whoever around you. But I would hope that if it's in your control to make that decision yourself, do what makes you happy, truly. Like life is so short, and even right now, like me being almost 24, I'm so young. Like I put so much pressure on myself daily, but when I get this reality check, I'm so young and I just want to be happy at the end of the day. So I will try within my means to make decisions that will lead to me being happy. So yeah.
So wise. Because I'm 34. I'm like, I'm just getting started, right?
But 34 is still so young. This is my point.
Yeah.
I think everyone has kind of had this weird idea that once you hit 30, it's all downhill.
Yeah, it's all over.
I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Well, I did feel that a little when I hit 30.
Did you?
It was just for a day on my birthday.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, yeah,
fair,
I feel the same. What am I, no different to 29? So,
There's so much ahead. Like 30 is just a number. There's given if you live to 100, like there's 70 more years to go. That's a long time.
Honestly, you hear stories of people still kind of picking up new passions and hobbies at 50, 60. It's literally never too late to do something. So yeah, I'd say just follow your heart, as cheesy as that sounds, and do what makes you happy at the end of the day. So
yeah. Can you run us through like what your day-to-day life looks like? Because you work from home and there's so much going on.
Not gonna lie, everyone. It is just a mess right now. I feel like in the past couple of years, especially since COVID hit, it's not like it affected my work in terms of, like me working at home, that hasn't changed. But I think my productivity and my organization, or lack of, should I say, has really been peaking. So I would say typically on a good day, it'd be wake up. Emails is usually the first thing I would do because if there's something on or something that I've missed or someone that I need to get back to, I would get through that first. And I find what helps me a lot is literally making a very simple dot point of like what I need to get through for the day. So it might be filming a particular recipe video or shooting certain photos or testing a recipe, but I kind of do it based on what I think will fit into a time frame. So as funny as this sounds, I kind of also base it on when the sun sets. So after that, I would probably edit content. So let's say I get up in the morning, have breakfast, do emails, shoot whatever I need to shoot. And it's quite a long process, I would say, because not every day can I just like wake up and shoot things immediately. I might have to go grocery shopping to get those ingredients, come back, set everything up, shoot it, and then hope that it actually goes well. Like literally the other day, I shot something and was like, yeah, sweet, I'm going to have to reshoot this tomorrow. Not happy with it. So yeah. And then after that, there's editing, there's cleaning the whole damn kitchen, which really kills me on a day-to-day basis. I won't lie.
You got a dishwasher? Does your mum let you use it?
Oh my God, yes. So I have a dishwasher. So the funny story is back when I was living, I guess, in the main house with my parents and my brother, we had an old dishwasher that was never used, right?
It's a drying rack.
Yes, exactly. It's anything but a dishwasher. I've literally seen a post where people were like putting cabbage for kimchi, in it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. No, I haven't seen it.
We'll add a photo into like the video.
Yes, we will. Yeah, and I've never once used it before. And then my parents renovated the kitchen and I was like, oh, amazing. They got rid of the dishwasher. There's no dishwasher in the kitchen anymore. But now that I live separately, I have a dishwasher, and I'm telling you, it is the best thing to exist in my life. The best. I don't think I could function without it right now. It is absolutely a must-have. Yeah.
You don't know what you're missing out on until you use one, because you grow up without you use your dishwasher.
I use the dishwasher now.
But growing up,
no way. It was a dishwashing rack. And same thing. Yeah. My parents renovated their kitchen and they got rid of it.
Exactly.
So there's this gap here, and there's actually no use for the gap. I'm like, you might as well have left the dishwasher in there.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
An expensive drying rack with the plumbing and everything.
Exactly right.
So go on. You were saying how like you end up editing during the night and then...
Yeah, my hours are all over the place because you would think that after shooting, okay, that's a wrap for the day. Editing takes so long. Like to edit something and cut 30 minutes worth of footage down to a minute or 30 seconds takes hours and hours. So it also depends on my day-to-day schedule in general, because I go to the gym a lot and I train a lot. So if I can't fit it in before then, I'll probably do it at night at like 9 p.m. Yeah. So my hours are kind of everywhere at the moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious because you said, you're 24. You've grown, quickly, but you've been doing this for a long period of time.
Yep.
One of the things that we sort of talk about a lot is imposter syndrome. Do you ever feel like you have imposter syndrome, which is, I guess for some of us, it's like, well, all these fortunate things have happened for me, or these things have worked out the way I hurt. And sometimes people say I'm lucky. I don't feel like I deserve this, or, I'm out of place. I'm out of my league.
I wouldn't say I was lucky, but I think from time to time, I do realize that I jumped on board on social media at a good time, especially with the whole veganism thing. Like that wasn't planned though. That's the thing. So if you want to call that lucky, I guess you can say it's lucky, but I don't think any of this would have happened without my hard work as well. Like I put in so much work and effort and time into it. I guess even without realizing that I wanted this to be a business, at the time when I was posting as a hobby, that kind of led to me being able to grow the page. So yeah, I mean, I guess in some aspects you can say, yeah, a bit of luck was needed with how social media goes, because it's very unexpected, unpredictable. But as a whole, I feel like I've worked pretty hard.
It's really good because it's like, I think what you're saying is a lot of people do grapple with imposter syndrome, but you do seem to have a lot of confidence. You're saying like it's like a meritocracy, like the effort that I put in directly translated to my success. Of course, luck plays a part in all of that, but you make your own luck, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And I personally had many, many blogs that never saw the light of day. And so I'm really curious also, as someone who's had like a graveyard of blogs in his history, what kept you going? Because I remember doing blogs, and look, I was doing blogs in like 2007. So there was a, slight era there where, blogging could not be turned into a business. And part of me just never saw blogging as a sort of commercially minded, like I never saw it as turning into a business. So how did you sort of identify it being, hey, this could actually turn into something that could become a business? You mentioned some of the brands sending you stuff, but was there anything else?
I think maybe the level of engagement in the community. And I think when you're vegan and posting about veganism, that's already quite a niche and minority kind of group of people. But with that being said, most of my followers are not actually vegan. So most of them just want to try vegan recipes, or maybe, let's say, eat predominantly plant-based. Like they're not vegan. Maybe, I can't really put a percentage on it, but I remember I did a poll once. Big majority not vegan. So I think I realized that even though I feel like I was in a bit of a small minority group, the reach that I had in terms of who I could appeal to kind of covered a lot of different people.
Going off of that though, in the influencer space, what's your experience been like being an Asian in this kind of, I know the vegan community as well, it's very Western dominant as well. What's your experience like being in the vegan community and also the influencer space on Instagram?
So I won't lie. I think initially when I first started all of this, as much as I wanted to post a lot of Asian recipes, it sounds bad, but I felt like it didn't really appeal to everyone because most of my following was like white. So I felt like my recipes were swayed towards that, I guess, because a lot of the times you create content for people in terms of what they want to see. And as the years have gone by, I'm like, why did I not post all of my Asian related recipes before? It just didn't make any sense. But given, I guess, the context, that's just how it was then. But nowadays, I freely post whatever I want, and it's honestly really, really nice. And something I will say though that is interesting, it's 2022, but when I go to events, I still honestly feel like I'm the token Asian girl there. Genuinely, most events that I go to, I'm one of the only Asian girls there. And it feels a bit strange, not going to lie, because it's not like there are no female Asian bloggers out there.
There's so many.
There's so many in general. But even if you want to put it down to the whole vegan community, there are a lot of Asian girls who are blogging and doing food stuff like me. But every time I rock up to an event,
is it because they just don't attend, or what's the reason?
No, I don't think so. It depends on who they invite.
There is a team that usually invites specific people, and they usually have a specific list of who they're going to invite.
Yeah.
It's a big discussion topic now in the platform space as well, because it's like all of these events are happening like certain brands like or, and it's just white girls in bikinis, super skinny. One, it's no representation of, sizes, minorities, anything. Yeah. It's all the girls that look the same.
So why do you think they chose you?
I don't know. I think a part of it is I might be one of the bigger bloggers in the space. I'm not saying I have like the most followers or anything, but I think I've been around for quite a bit and a lot of people probably know of my page. But yeah, with that being said, I don't think it really matters when it comes to the number, especially for these events, because a lot of smaller / micro influencers always come. But I don't tend to see
So it's not based on size? I mean, if you say
I wouldn't say so, no. No, I wouldn't say so. So that's why it's been interesting. Even till now, I feel like when I rock up to these events, there's not many other gals that are, fellow Asian gals. So
have you ever spoken up in these events or anything, or mentioned anything to the others?
No, I've kind of had chit-chats in terms of between me and friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never directly spoken to these brands about it. It's a bit of a iffy kind of thing to do because you don't know how to really approach it. I mean, I get that sometimes. So a thought that went through my head was like they might not intentionally be choosing like, only white bloggers. But then, like I mentioned, given the amount of diversity there is in the community, I don't know why there isn't diversity at these events. So that's kind of my thought process. But is it just
one, like, are you finding this across is it, I don't know how big the vegan community is in terms of who's organizing these events, but is it just like the one or two companies that run all of these events?
No.
Or there's actually, and they all happen to be like this?
Yeah, I would say so.
That is bizarre.
Yeah. And I don't think it's only just in this particular space. It's probably in other spaces as well.
Right.
It's in the fashion and lifestyle blogging, like all those content creators as well. It's a big issue.
Yeah. So an interesting topic that relates to this is there was this discussion about people of color being paid a lot less than these white bloggers. And it's literally been proven through examples. So I follow this girl called Vanessa, and
Vanessa Lee?
Yes. I love her content. We just spoke this morning, actually.
Love to get her on the show.
Yeah, no, for sure. She's awesome. And she did this whole story series being like, hey, if you're, person of color, can you just tell me what you have been paid for these collaborations and how many followers you have? I just want to kind of put a comparison out there to see what, you've been paid compared to other bloggers. So many were just underpaid. Yeah. She's got a story highlight on this, so you can literally check it later, but it was really sad reading all of it, to be honest.
Do you think that's because by intention they've done that, or do you think there's some cultural elements? Because I sort of think to like us as Asians, where we sort of don't speak up. Like you think about getting pay rises, right? I sort of think back to when I was working corporate. I definitely knew that I was being underpaid, compared to my colleagues, and yet I had a lot of struggle in terms of asking for that pay rise or having that conversation. It's just a very you didn't want to ask. Do you think from an influencer standpoint, because I imagine when they approach you, these brands, sometimes I'll probably ask you how much you expect to be paid and maybe roll off that. And so if we have a sort of a culture of maybe sometimes undervaluing our value.
I agree with that too, for sure. I think there is a chance where a lot of these scenarios happened also because the person didn't realize they could charge more. But I do think a lot of the times it falls on the brand too, because they probably haven't offered very much and that person ends up thinking, oh, I'm only worth this much. But something I've learned throughout the years is you just need to stand your ground, truly. Like till this day, I do find it awkward to talk about money. It's always awkward to an extent to talk about money, but it is what it is. You know your value and your worth, and I would rather kind of overstate a rate and then have them negotiate down than for me to just be like, oh, maybe they wouldn't want to pay me this. Yeah. So just be confident in yourself, know what you're worth and know your value, and literally stand your ground. Like there were some times where a brand and I were talking and they were like, we only do like a product exchange basis collaboration. And I basically emailed back saying, I appreciate that, but also that's not what I do at the moment, because if you want me to create a video and shoot photos and then use that for marketing XYZ, it all comes with a lot of my own time, my value, my work. This is literally my work. And then they've come back offering me like a few $1,000s for something. And I'm like, how did we jump from zero to thousands? It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I say it's important to stand your ground there, because most of the times it probably will work as well. So
where did you learn these skills? Were you always just confident and you felt this way, or like
definitely not? Even till this day, I don't think I'm a very confident person.
Like you want to I think about myself when I'm negotiating. I'm like, I am shitting my pants right now, but I'm like confident on the keyboard.
I think it helps to be behind a screen, as bad as that sounds. I think in person, perhaps it would go down a bit differently. But I think when you have kind of typed out similar emails for years and years and have kind of seen the response and adjusted it over time, it gets a bit easier, I would say. So yeah, I'm not super confident in general in terms of all of this. It's still kind of awkward. But once you navigate the language, stand your ground and realize what you should be saying, by default, you end up typing the same thing and same response. Yeah, it's just practice over time. I never really learnt this off anywhere. I think a question that people have a lot is, how'd you learn, photography and how to invoice and do all these things and tax? I don't know. I've just picked it up as I've gone by. I haven't done a course for anything. I haven't studied anything. This is just, I guess, learning from mistakes, I would say. Yeah.
You learn to do it as you go.
You do, for sure.
In terms of getting your first client, what was that experience like versus, I guess, now charging for your bigger brand names?
So initially when I first started to do any sort of paid work, I think one of them was just a commission affiliate thing. So it wasn't like a big, I'm charging you X amount. But I think eventually when I started to realize that brands would be like, what do you charge for one post or one story series? I was like,
charge?
I'm like, like what? Literally there would be times where I'd be Googling, what should you charge if you have this amount of followers? Because I didn't know how to gauge it at all. But nowadays, I would say I definitely have more of a set idea of what I would charge brands. Even till this day, there are a few things that I am unsure of because new things always pop up all the time, especially with Instagram's ever-changing nature of their deliverables and their engagement and stuff like that. But I think it's just been a gradual increase. Like, I remember back in the days, I don't remember the exact figure, but I was doing, I think, videos or photos / recipes for this one brand. And I think per recipe, they just pay me a couple of $100, right? To both make the recipe and post it up. And nowadays, I usually don't charge anything in the hundreds, it's always in the thousands.
Of course.
So,
yeah. You've built a brand now, like you've had so many years of experience. You've got everyone backing you as well.
Definitely.
They're paying for that. They're not paying for just a recipe or a photo.
Exactly. I think even if you find it hard to gauge how much to charge, as your audience grows, you realize that you do need to adjust it. So that kind of helps as well, I would say. Yeah.
This episode is produced and brought to you by Social Wave. Social Wave is a strategic content marketing agency helping businesses grow revenue using video, podcasts, and SEO. Head on over to socialwave.com.au to find out more. Now back to the show. Would you ever use your platform to kind of speak about minorities and other groups not getting paid enough compared to other groups and demographics?
Definitely. I think that would be such an interesting topic. Something I've noticed that I've been doing a lot is on Thriving on Plants, I post a lot more just recipe based. I don't want to say professional content, but that is my business and my work. So I just kind of keep it at that. But on my personal account where I post more of my unfiltered, uncensored life and my fitness stuff, I talk about so many topics. I'll post random things on my story for people to pitch into. So I don't know if I would bring that onto Thriving on Plants, but I think it would be a nice idea too. And what I love about discussions though is actually involving everyone. I hate having discussions where it's just coming from me. Like I want the whole community to kind of pitch in. So I think, eventually I would love to do that at some point too, and speak more about topics that I care about.
Yeah. Because I think you've got such a big, important platform as well. And a lot of brands have their eyes on you. And just, I guess there's a lot of pressure that comes with that as well, especially if you're going to talk about a topic like that. And you don't want to make it feel like you're calling those brands out either. But, you know, if you've got the platform to do so and you are willing to, it'd be really pivotal.
But I think if a brand feels attacked, maybe it says something about them, right? Maybe they should be changing something. So
totally.
I guess that's not my problem or anyone else's problem if they want to speak up about it. Because if they're feeling a bit iffy about it, why are they feeling iffy?
Yeah,
maybe,
call it out.
Maybe they're guilty of something.
Yeah, what are you hiding?
Exactly.
But I think it's also important that just because you have a platform doesn't mean you need to use it towards a certain 100%. Agenda, right? And I think it's like everyone's prerogative. You have a big platform. I think like with woke culture and like cancel culture right now, it's like, Cherie, you have this platform. You should talk about this. And it's like, come on, like it's by choice.
And it's such a parasocial experience. Yeah.
That's something I agree with a lot as well, because there are constantly things going on in the world, constantly. So many issues to deal with and to kind of raise awareness about. But I think when it comes from a place of pressure where people are like, if you don't post about it, you're a fuckwit. Excuse my language, but you're truly like a fuckwit, or you are just not helping with XYZ. But someone needs to post from a place of being genuine. Like, I genuinely care about this. I'm not just posting about it to jump on a bandwagon or to seem likable, you know. It has to come from a genuine place. So I definitely agree with what you've just brought up.
100%.
And a lot of the time it's like they're projecting how they want to feel about a situation too.
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to blame this person for not posting because I feel bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious to ask as well, again, very conscious of who's listening to this. If I sort of think of, let's just say someone who was similar maybe to yourself, going through high school, Asian, female, trying to figure out, not sure what they want to do, and have this like really awesome side hobby that they're really sort of starting to become something, or maybe they haven't started yet and they're looking to start it. Do you have any advice, you know, based on whether it's your personal experience or what you have to say on how they should sort of approach it and think about this?
So I think because I only did one very brief period of uni and then I dropped out, obviously, ideally, I would be like, oh, you know, if you want to take a break, just stop uni. But I guess even if someone wants to do part-time, that's fine too. I feel like I speak from a bit of a different perspective because I've never had that pressure, like of my parents saying you have to stay in uni, you have to do X, Y, Z. It's always been my free will and decision to kind of do whatever I want to do. But I don't know. I think taking a break is quite healthy as well, because I know a lot of friends who ended up studying for something that they did not want to do, did not care for, but they thought, okay, because I should or have to take the uni route, I'm just going to do it. Then they graduated and didn't use their degree at all. And that's fine. Like, it's always there and you've done the degree. You shouldn't regret that period. But what I'm saying is a lot of them have reflected back on this saying, I wish I would have, you know, stopped and taken a break to kind of really reflect on what I want to do. Whether it's traveling or even not traveling, whether you just want to stay at home and kind of do what you want to do as a hobby and figure it out, that's fine. Like, this is the point I'm trying to make. There's no pressure for you to have to do something before a certain period. You can obviously put a general timeline on things, but things never go to plan. And you never know when, let's say, that hobby or side gig blows up or how it does in the future. So you need to just take it easy. If possible, have a nice little break and figure it out, and just try to balance your life out a bit. Yeah.
We've heard this advice a few times, right? Like we talked to a few podcast guests and they say some of the biggest decisions they made was literally when they had more time to think and they had like a break.
Exactly.
And we sort of we're like in a society right now, and particularly in, I think, the Asian sort of expectation sphere of family is like you finish primary school, you roll into high school, you finish high school, you roll into uni, you finish uni, you roll into work. And it's just like this constant, there's no gap in between. And I think if there's anything to learn probably from Western society, is that they do value the idea of taking like your, deferring, taking your gap years, going traveling, experiencing different things, because we just seem to have like our entire roadmap like laid out for us from start to finish, right? Even before we're born. And so I definitely like 100% resonate with that. Like I took a year off traveling and it was like the best year of my life, just trying to learn about, you know, what I wanted to do. And because I'm in my 30s now, I do see a lot of friends and even family who had been studying or doing a particular career for a really, really long time and now are starting to move and pivot into things they genuinely really want to do. And this took them like 10, 12 years to get there. And so it's crazy to think that you could go through, like I went through an entire career in corporate, that now I'm just like doing something completely different in marketing, which I've only been doing for 2 or 3 years. So I think it's important that people need to think about this sort of stuff, because otherwise it's not that there's regret, because like you said, you've got your degree, you can use it. But also it's like, what could you do instead had you, say, just given yourself a time to pause and like think about it?
No, you're right. That's why I said you don't even have to travel. Like even if you just wanted to take some time off and it's within your means to do that, let's say you can still support yourself financially for that time being, just having that break to think and that introspection and not just the constant go hustle. I have this whole like 10 years planned for me already, because things don't go to plan. And also, as time goes by, you actually really change a lot. A lot. We're constantly changing every day, every month, every year. You can't kind of have this set thing and think it's always going to work out that way. Like your interests and hobbies always change over time too. Who's to say you won't be doing something completely different next year, right? In terms of career or whatever else it is. So I totally agree. Like if it's within your means to take a break, oh my God, do it. Honestly, just do it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I remember trying to tell my mom, like, I wanted to take 3 months off, 6 months off, or a year off. And she was like, what's that?
Yeah. For what? For
what? Like, for what reason?
To do what?
Like you said, rolling from primary, high school, uni, and then what? Like, you just don't know what to do. And I feel like everyone in their 20s feels like it's such a compressed amount of time that you just have to run this race for what? And once you get to 30s, it's like, oh, like, what do I do now? And I think there's also a huge culture at the moment, especially on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, where like everyone's showing all of these experiences of them finding their hobbies. You know, they don't have to do what their careers were planned out to be as well. And there's a huge culture of shift from hustle to now take a break, do what you want.
And I think more than ever, people are realizing that while you can go to, let's say, TAFE or uni and then study and do what you want to do, there are other career paths out there. What I say to people is, if you want to be something specific, let's give the most general thing, like a doctor. Obviously, you need to go through a lot of studying for that and then get into whatever it is you want to do there. But if you want to open a business, if you want to start a side thing, a lot of things are based online nowadays. It's not like a uni route. You don't have to go to uni for it. For example, the Tropika owner, Caleb, we spoke a lot about this and he was like, I went and studied business. Guess what I learnt from it? honestly nothing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after I had graduated, started my own business, kind of realized my mistakes and learnt from that I grew as a person. Like I didn't actually learn much from my degree. This is just a paper/qualification for me. But when I properly started up my business, oh my God, like the learning was never ending. So experiencing it yourself and kind of growing from that makes a huge difference. It's not always about like uni. You might not necessarily need to go to uni for what you want to do.
100%. I was talking to the founders of I Can Study, and they're like this online these guys, the founders, Justin and Michael, are amazing people. They basically teach people how to effectively learn. But one of the topics that we sort of touched on was the idea that, like you said, like how the hell can you expect people at 18, between 16 and 18, figure out what it is that they want to do? And secondly is that there are more paths to success now in what you want to do than there was ever before.
Yeah.
And so, they're running an education company that completely is different to how the traditional education system works, right? And it's funny because they talk about, they ask students, they're like, well, how do you sort of measure how hard, like how successful your learning is? And everyone measures that on how much time they spend studying versus how effective your studying is. So the idea is that if you could learn this in 2 hours as opposed to 12 hours, which one's better? And everyone thinks 12 hours, but it's actually 2 hours because it's like I learned it quicker, I was more effective. Anyway, my point is that there's all these like sort of assumptions that we make, particularly in Asian society, where we're like, hey, like hard work, busy, this sort of stuff is really
equals success.
Is a badge of honor.
Yeah.
When actually it's like, that is stupid. It's like you're wasting a lot of time when you should be actually thinking about doing things smarter as well. Yeah. And so like hearing it from you about how, I suppose, particularly, people who are sort of growing up through this period of time are now seeing avenues to sort of build careers that otherwise you wouldn't have. I feel like everyone now sort of wants to be a YouTuber or like an influencer, right? It's a viable career path, man. I'm like, the hell is a influencer, back in the day.
A lot of people don't understand how much work goes into it though. Yeah.
It's super hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people have this idea that, you probably just take a photo of something, upload it and call it a day. I'm like, it's really not.
There's such a process behind it.
Not going to lie, I don't like the word influencer. It gives me a bit of a icky feeling. But yeah, there is a lot of work to it. And I honestly have so much respect for people in every single area and field doing this stuff, because from the outside, it seems like it's nothing. It seems very, I guess nowadays, even some people would say it's not a real job still, which, that's fine. You can say that if you want. You do you. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like even if someone was shooting a photo for, I don't know, like a fashion thing and getting, promoting clothes, it's not as simple as just snapping a photo. Like the amount of time they spent probably on makeup, hair, getting ready, going on scene to shoot at a particular location, editing all of that. There's work in every single category. So it just varies, obviously. In the food area, it's very different too. But there's, at the end of the day, everyone's putting in a lot of work to create content.
Can you run us through your book experience? You're a 2-time published author. You've got 2 cookbooks everywhere. What was that experience like?
So that was, I would say as a whole, pretty epic and pretty fun. The way it started was I received an email from the director of the publishing place, and she said, I've been following you on Instagram for a while. I thought we could discuss potentially doing a book together. I thought it was a prank, honestly. I was like, this is not real. There's no way.
Did you get published by Penguin?
No, it was Bauer Media, but they're now known as R Media.
Yeah.
So I searched them up and I was like, they do all of the Women's Weekly stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, so they actually are.
They're not a scam.
They're legit. So we ended up meeting in their office, which is right in the city, and discussed everything and pretty much on the spot had agreed to work together. And as you can imagine, as a first-time author, someone who has never done a book together with anyone yet, and even as someone who was quite young, which I still am, but then I was even younger, I was pretty nervous because I just didn't want to be taken advantage of. As much as you can Google things, I think unless you know the right people to talk to, you're never going to kind of gauge whether like this figure's right or these aspects of the agreement are correct. But I've been so lucky to work with them because they were honestly so great throughout the whole thing. I have no complaints, genuinely. But the way we worked was I still did a lot of the work, which is a given, but I think a lot of people have like, a a food stylist and like a photographer who does all the photos. So I did all the recipe development, bought all the ingredients as well along the way for all the recipes, cooked it, styled it, shot it, edited them, and then they on their end did all of the graphic design, laying the book out. Obviously with the distribution and stuff, I didn't have to worry about any of that, but
still a lot of work.
Still, like a lot of the work fell on me. And I think when you've got a strict deadline and timeline, God, was it stressful.
How long did they give you?
I don't even remember at this point, but we were working with a pretty tight timeline, and I had to kind of plan it out so that I was doing, let's say, 3 to 4 recipes every day, which
that's a lot.
It is a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but if you think about the whole process that I've talked about with like the grocery shopping, cooking it, shooting it, editing, do that times 4, you might not even be able to fit that in before the sun kind of sets. So I was doing that. Like I literally remember there were some mornings where at 4 a.m. I was sitting on the kitchen tiles waiting for something to bake out of the oven because I needed that recipe to work, and I didn't want that to kind of overlap onto other days because it would just pile up. So it was really, really stressful.
And then you did it a second time.
I did. I sure did. I thought, why the fuck not? So the first book came out and it went really well because the publishers came back to me basically saying, want to do a second? And I was like,
I'm only just breathing again.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm dying, but sure, let's do it. And yeah, we basically started straight away. But I think because I was familiar with the process, that it made it easier in some ways. So as much as it was stressful, again, a second time, it flowed a bit better, I would say.
Could you not have the option of getting like additional help, like, you know, with the whole thing?
So when we had first discussed the second book, we thought that I could go into their office to do the shoots and the recipes there because they actually have everything there, like a full-blown kitchen, a photography studio. And I thought, perfect, because I was borrowing props from them as well. They have a big prop room. It was heavenly. Like I walked into the prop room, all organized by color, by category, every single kind of plate, bowl, whatever you wanted, tea towels.
Photographer's dream.
It was amazing. So I was like, yeah, I'd love that. And we were going to work that out. But actually COVID kind of hit and they were like, we can't actually have you in here anymore because a lot of our workers are going to start working from home. So you're still going to have to do the same thing you did for book 1 and shoot everything from home. And I was like,
God.
Dang it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Unless book 3 comes out. Is there a book 3 in the works?
See...
Juicy plug.
No, I wouldn't really want to do book 3 at this point in time because I've had ideas for my own ebooks for a very, very long time. But because those cookbook opportunities came along, I kind of put that on hold. And I really should have started working on these ideas and executing them after book 2, but I was so burnt out after book 2 that I didn't even want to think about any big project anymore. And yeah, so I do have some things in mind in the works for my own projects. But I'm not saying no to a third book, honestly. I'm not saying no. Just at this point in time, maybe not. For the time being, I would say. Yeah.
But also like a lot of people, I feel like right now it's self-publishing. I mean, if you've got a platform, you know, usually back in the day, you know, like they say internet's the big equalizer, you know, you don't have to go through a lot of like middlemen, like artists, music artists had to go through record labels to get their music distributed. Now it's like, hey, if you wanted to create something, you can just go straight to your audience and it'd be really straightforward, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have kind of looked into self-publishing. I don't know if that's something I will do eventually. But I did kind of like the fact that while I was working with the publishing place, I didn't have to think about anything in terms of distribution, shipping, just all of the back end stuff that really gives you nightmares, honestly. But the reason why I do value ebooks a lot is because once you pop that online, anyone from all over the world can access it. There's no such thing as like shipping, postage and all that madness. So there's pros and cons to both because there is something really nice about having a physical book in your hand.
Agree.
So there's pros and cons, but different people prefer different things. Like I realized a lot of people were messaging me saying, hey, have you got like a PDF version of your cookbooks? Because I'm literally traveling everywhere and I'm always out and about and I wouldn't be bringing that on me. I'd love if I could have it on my phone or my iPad. So it appeals, different things appeal to different people. Yeah.
I've got both the physical copies and the books are gorgeous. Like the photos are really pretty. Yeah.
Thank you.
You did a really good job with them as well.
Thank you.
Only if you're comfortable about talking about it. But are you on like what is it, royalties with the books, or was it just a paid once off?
So the way that we worked, I think this is quite common with first-time authors as well, is they will pay what they call an advance. So they pay you an upfront amount that you agree on, and then afterwards, once you've sold enough copies to make up for that advance, they start paying you royalties. But the royalties, it's not what people think. People think, okay, if the book's like $35, you get a really good chunk of that.
It's only a small
You
amount.
make a couple of dollars per book.
Yeah.
It's very,
It's a volume game.
it's not what people think. You'd have to sell thousands and thousands to make a decent amount. And some people, actually many authors don't end up making back their advance and never make royalties on their book ever. So it's not a fun gig. Like in terms of the financial side of things, people think, oh, if you're a cookbook author, you're rich. You're definitely rich. I'm like, no,
Not
definitely
really. Yeah.
not. Unless you're a huge, like, I don't know, big seller, like, I don't know, you know, at the very top. Doing cookbooks is not a financial thing. Like that's why when I got into it, I was thinking, even regardless of the money, I just want to do it for the actual accomplishment. Like I remember in my early blogging days, I thought if I could do a cookbook and publish that would be a dream come true. So when I got the opportunity, I didn't even think about the money side of things. I was like, I just want to do this, have my book in stores, be able to say I'm a published author, and just actually feel like, you know, I've really achieved this big goal and this big dream of mine. So yeah, just giving everyone a reality check with the money side of things. Don't expect too much from it, because it is not what people make it out to be, I would say. Yeah.
What did your mum say when she saw both copies?
Oh, my mom's cute. Like she's always bragging about my stuff, showing people, talking about it. So she's always been really, really proud. Yeah, she's big supporter, big fan for sure.
Yeah, that's really cute.
What's on like we keep talking about sort of retrospectively, what are the sort of have you thought about plans in terms of, I guess, the next few years?
Yeah, definitely. So as most people know, my main platform, I would say, is Instagram. Like that's where I've consistently been posting the most. That's where most of my business stuff is in terms of how I make money. But I do not want to rely solely on one platform for that. Like it feels really, I guess, not stable, kind of worries me at times. And so my plan is to launch a new site, because I finally got the domain name for my website. Thrivingonplants.com wasn't there before for me because someone had already taken it.
What the hell?
And I don't want to start any drama here, but I do have a theory that the person who took it had already seen me on Instagram and kind of gone and taken handles of Thriving on Plants everywhere else.
Oh, thinking one day that you're going to need to buy it off them.
Yeah, because let's just say their Instagram username was a spin-off of mine with like a couple of extra, you know, words and letters. And what happened though was in 2018, I think, I had reached out to them and managed to get in contact with them. And they had told me that, you know, yeah, we're not active anymore. We do want to sell the site. But by the way, I want to get into doing like a podcast thing. I need money for it. So I'm probably going to charge like quite a big amount. I don't even remember what they asked for, but back then I was probably quite young and I was still a teenager probably. And they were asking for thousands upon thousands upon thousands. And they had not used that site for years either. It was just inactive and sitting there. And eventually they ghosted me.
Oh, they did you dirty.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything back from them. But then fast forward to, I think last year, I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and he happens to kind of work in all this like website related stuff. I'm so sorry. I can't say people's jobs properly nowadays. I'm just like, wait, what do you do again? But anyway, I talked to him about it because he knew I always wanted to kind of relaunch a website, start food blogging properly there. And I said, you know what? I haven't started, but also I feel really not motivated because I don't want to have the same website that I do right now. Because right now it's just my full name.com, CherieTu.com. I said I wanted to launch it under Thrivingonplants.com because that is my brand. That is who I am. That is what people recognize me for. And he's like, oh, what's the situation? So I explained it. And he's like, do you have their contact details? And I was like, oh, there might be some old ones on their website, but I don't know if anyone would even check it. He goes, cool. I'll keep that in mind. A few days later, he messages me and goes, hey, I've been in contact with the owner of the website. And I was like, what do you mean? They ghosted me for like years and years. What do you mean? And fast forward like maybe a week or two of him negotiating, he bought it off them. And it was like a decent price as well. And I have the website in my hands now. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, Justin. You're the best. I'm so grateful to him because that was just super exciting. I think having that website, which is what I wanted from, years and years ago, has been amazing. And there's been a very big delay with when I've been meaning to launch it, but the plan with the website is to kind of consolidate everything, have all of my recipes categorized there. Hopefully, if I consistently do it for a long time, then I can monetize it. That is the plan. And also just to have like a newsletter subscriber list, because I want to keep in touch with everyone and just reach out to everyone whenever I need to, or send out new recipes through that whenever I want to. And like I said, I don't want to rely on Instagram. I want to have my website that I know that I own and have control over.
100%.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I am planning to do, I would say.
Nice. Was
really
there
exciting.
Anything else, like besides obviously the website, or is it just one step at a time?
I would say definitely one step at a time, but on the top of my head right now, it's the website, some ebook ideas that I have that I really want to do, and just kind of expanding on other platforms. Like I said, I did take a long break off YouTube. That's why I don't even consider myself a YouTuber. But eventually, I don't know when. I'm so sorry, guys. Someone always brings this up every now and then. They're like, you said you were going to come back to YouTube. It's been 2 years. It's been 3 years. It's been 4 years. Where are you? Eventually, I think I would like to get back into YouTube. But something I've got to figure out is while I do film everything casually on my iPhone for TikTok and for Instagram Reels, I want to buy a really good camera and film properly for YouTube, because I think I like the fact that the YouTube dynamic is different, where TikTok is like, let's scroll through like 5-second videos, really quick, casual.
Short,
people are
snappy,
just, short videos. I like that YouTube's pace is slower because I will open up a recipe and it will just be someone like you're cooking with them. They're just taking their time. It's not constant cuts, because now my attention span has gone so bad because of TikTok that when I go to YouTube and I see these videos, it's kind of one or the other. One is like, I have no patience for this, but two is like, oh my God, finally some normal paced videos where someone's cooking and doing their thing and it feels peaceful. So I think I need to kind of brainstorm the approach I want to take with these videos. And while I do want it to be a bit more casual, I still want to film it in high quality and produce nice content. So that's kind of the plan there.
Yeah, we talk about it all. Like Viv and I were talking about it a little while ago with Edwin here. And we actually were saying, wow, it'd be cool, because we're going to refit out the studio and like actually do like a food channel and like really just come up with different concepts. Some people do it without their face and it's just the actual cooking itself. Some do ASMR, some do like a whole range of different styles.
I've always wanted to do mukbang.
Do it.
I really want to do mukbang.
eat.
Like literally just eat and talk to the audience like they're my friends.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something I'll take on board and do for YouTube for a longer video, because I personally really love mukbangs. They're so good.
It's so comforting. And like IG and TikTok, it feels so chaotic when you're on there. You're consumed by that platform.
Yes.
Like you're not consuming it. It's consuming you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also I find that when I'm eating meals at home, if I'm watching someone eat on YouTube while I eat, the food tastes so much better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like if I'm eating noodles, I'm going to watch you eat noodles with me.
Yeah, that's right. Because I always say, like, when I remember talking to my parents about this, and this sounds really creepy, but like my parents' friends back when I was really young used to watch me eat when I was a kid. And I used to be like, man, like your son makes food look so good. And I was like, shit, if I knew that back in the day it was mukbang, I would have been a junior mukbang star. But honestly speaking, I feel like when you eat around a group of people, food tastes better, doesn't it? Like,
it does.
It's
It's such a cultural experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think because not just me, but everyone's work nowadays, a lot of the times based from their home and they're based on social media and computer. I think there's a lot of disconnect. So I think when you can actually connect with literally anyone around the world, watch them cook, watch them eat, it just feels really comforting.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think that we covered a pretty broad range as well. So I appreciate you sort of coming on the show.
Yeah.
I guess if there's any, parting advice, particularly for people who want to probably pursue something very similar to yourself, maybe comes from like an Asian background, obviously, because it's called Level Asian, duh, guys. Any parting advice that you haven't given?
look, I think times have changed a lot, and while I'm sure our parents/grandparents still have very particular views and traditional views, I think it's important to talk more about topics, and mental health is something that is so prevalent and talked about nowadays. But I think especially when it comes to the Asian communities, we're known for not really discussing mental health. Mental health shouldn't, well, to our parents, it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah,
it's not a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Depression, what's that? Anxiety, that doesn't exist. But I think openly having conversations, being raw and honest about things and expressing how you feel is so important, because I've realized growing up in an Asian household, saying I love you is even weird, let alone having deep, meaningful conversations to your parents. So I think opening that up and potentially delving in there can help a lot, instead of kind of, closing up and bottling everything into yourself. And as I mentioned before, if it's doable for you, take a break. Honestly, take a moment to think, whether it's like a month, 3 months, a year, 3 years. If it's possible for you to take that break and really discover what you want to do or work on that side hobby / passion that you have, go for it. And at the end of the day, you should be able to make decisions that make you happy, because that's really all that matters, I guess. Yeah.
You got a long time, sort of the pressure of people feeling like they got to have it all worked out.
You don't.
You don't.
You do not.
Absolutely.
Not at all. Yeah.
Well, really good words of advice, honestly. Thanks for coming onto the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where can we find you on socials?
So my main page with all of my recipes is Thrivingonplants, and then my personal page with all of, my fitness training and other life madness is on my personal account, Cherie Tu. So you can find me on those two.
And now on thrivingonplants.com.
Yeah. That's coming soon. Coming soon.
All right.
We'll add it all into the show notes as well.
Exactly, yes.
Cool. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for coming
It
on.
has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Level Asian podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. And why not share it with friends and family who might enjoy it too? Also, make sure you head over to levelasianpodcast.com to join our email list and to receive the latest updates and get notified when the next episode drops. If you know a great guest we should feature, email us at contact@levelasianpodcast.com or DM us on our socials in the show notes. Catch you on the next episode.